Anger is a natural human emotion, a response to situations where we feel wronged, frustrated, or helpless. However, in Islam, the guidance provided by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, teaches us to channel this powerful emotion in ways that are constructive and spiritually uplifting. One of the most profound pieces of advice he offered was to remain silent in moments of anger. This simple yet deeply impactful guidance has far-reaching implications, not only for our relationships with others, but also for our own spiritual and emotional well-being. When we are angry, our judgment becomes clouded. Words spoken in the heat of the moment often carry the sharpness of our unfiltered emotions. They can wound others, sometimes irreparably, and leave us with feelings of regret and guilt. Anger has the potential to escalate conflicts, sever relationships, and disturb our inner peace. In such moments, choosing silence is an act of immense strength. It is not about suppressing the feeling of anger itself, but about creating a pause, a sacred space between the emotion and our reaction. This pause allows us to breathe, reflect, and regain clarity. It provides an opportunity to evaluate whether what we wish to say will be helpful or harmful, whether it will resolve the situation or fuel the flames. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized that true strength is not in physical might, but in the ability to control one's anger. This teaching encourages self-restraint, a quality that not only protects us from making impulsive decisions, but also fosters a sense of inner discipline that aligns with the broader goals of Islamic character development. From a spiritual perspective, practicing silence in anger is a form of worship. It is an act of patience, a quality that Allah praises repeatedly in the Quran. By holding our tongue, we are not only refraining from potential harm, but actively striving to please Allah. This self-restraint is a reflection of taqwa, or God consciousness, reminding us of Allah's omnipresence and our accountability before Him. Every moment of silence in anger is an opportunity to reflect on our dependence on Allah for guidance and strength. It teaches us humility as we acknowledge our human frailty and seek divine assistance to navigate life's challenges with grace. The benefits of silence in anger are not limited to the individual. It creates a ripple effect in relationships and communities. By choosing silence instead of harsh words, we foster an environment of respect and understanding. This practice can de-escalate tense situations, paving the way for constructive dialogue when the emotions have settled. It sets an example for others, especially children and younger generations, about the power of restraint and the value of emotional intelligence. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself demonstrated this wisdom in his interactions. Despite facing immense provocation from his enemies, he remained composed and chose his words with care. His silence in the face of hostility was not a sign of weakness, but a profound act of strength and dignity. It is a reminder to all of us that silence, when chosen with intention, can be a powerful tool for maintaining peace, both within ourselves and in our interactions with others. In practical terms, implementing this guidance requires mindfulness. When anger arises, take a deep breath and remind yourself of the Prophet's advice. Seek refuge in Allah by reciting prayers like, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil. If possible, change your physical state. Sit down if you are standing, lie down if you are sitting, or perform ablution to cool the body and mind. These actions, coupled with silence, can help transform anger into a moment of spiritual growth and reflection. Silence in anger is not about avoiding confrontation altogether, but about approaching conflicts with wisdom and compassion. It is about prioritizing the values of kindness, patience, and understanding over the temporary satisfaction of venting frustration. It is a practice that not only strengthens our relationships, but also nurtures our spiritual connection with Allah, guiding us toward a more peaceful and fulfilling life. When it comes to speaking without knowledge, the consequences can be equally damaging. Words once spoken cannot be taken back. And when those words are based on ignorance or misinformation, they have the potential to mislead, harm, and create discord. In an age where information travels faster than ever, the importance of speaking with knowledge and understanding cannot be overstated. Islam places a high value on knowledge, considering its pursuit an obligation upon every Muslim. This emphasis underscores the responsibility we have to ensure that our words are truthful and beneficial. Speaking without knowledge often stems from the human tendency to appear knowledgeable or to have an opinion on every matter. However, Islam teaches that admitting ignorance is not a weakness, but a sign of wisdom and humility. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself demonstrated this when he would respond with "Allah knows best" to questions that were beyond human understanding. This humility serves as a model for all believers, reminding us that it is better to remain silent than to risk spreading falsehoods. The dangers of speaking without knowledge are manifold. In matters of religion, it can lead to misinterpretation of sacred texts and misguidance of others. In areas like science, culture, or personal relationships, it can perpetuate myths, create misunderstandings, and damage trust. The Quran warns against following what we do not know, stating, "And do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, about all those one will be questioned." Surah Al-Isra 17:36. This verse highlights the accountability we bear for the knowledge we claim and the words we speak. Choosing silence when we lack knowledge is an act of integrity. It reflects a commitment to truth and a respect for the gravity of our words. It also opens the door to learning. By acknowledging that we do not know, we create an opportunity to seek knowledge, to ask questions, and to grow in understanding. This attitude fosters a culture of humility and lifelong learning, both of which are highly valued in Islam. Practically, this principle can be applied in various ways. When faced with a topic we are unfamiliar with, it is better to listen and learn rather than to speak hastily. If asked a question we cannot answer, we can respond with honesty, saying, "I don't know, but I can find out." This approach not only safeguards our integrity, but also builds trust with others, as it demonstrates a commitment to accuracy and respect for the truth. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, cautioned against speaking on matters of religion without proper knowledge, likening it to attributing falsehoods to Allah. This warning underscores the seriousness of our words and the importance of ensuring that they are rooted in truth. Silence, in this context, is not merely the absence of speech, but a deliberate choice to prioritize honesty and understanding over the temptation to speak for the sake of speaking. In a world brimming with opinions and information, the practice of silence when lacking knowledge is a beacon of wisdom. It teaches us to value truth, to approach conversations with humility, and to recognize the limits of our understanding. By embracing this principle, we not only protect ourselves from the consequences of ignorance, but also contribute to a culture of sincerity and respect, upholding the values that Islam so beautifully emphasizes. Gossip, often disguised as casual conversation, has far-reaching consequences that can harm individuals, relationships, and communities. In Islam, gossip and backbiting are explicitly condemned, as they involve speaking ill of others in their absence. The Quran strongly warns against this behavior, likening it to eating the flesh of one's dead brother, a vivid metaphor that highlights its destructive nature. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also emphasized the dangers of gossip, teaching his followers to respect the dignity and honor of every individual, whether present or not. When we engage in gossip, we harm not only the person being spoken about, but also ourselves. Gossip erodes trust and sows seeds of discord, often leading to broken relationships and a toxic atmosphere. It reflects poorly on our character, revealing a lack of self-control and respect for others. Islam places great importance on maintaining the bonds of brotherhood and sisterhood, and gossip is a direct threat to these relationships. It is a betrayal of trust and an act of injustice that contradicts the principles of compassion and mercy central to Islamic teachings. Choosing silence when tempted to gossip is an act of self-discipline and moral courage. It requires us to resist the fleeting satisfaction of sharing or hearing a juicy piece of information in favor of upholding the dignity of others. This choice reflects our commitment to the values of integrity, respect, and kindness. It is also a way of guarding our own souls, as the act of gossiping leaves a stain on the heart, distancing us from Allah's pleasure and the purity we strive for in our faith. The practice of avoiding gossip is not merely about refraining from harmful speech, but actively promoting positive interactions. Instead of engaging in conversations that tear others down, we can redirect discussions toward constructive topics or offer words of praise and encouragement. When we find ourselves in situations where gossip is occurring, we can gently remind others of its consequences or excuse ourselves from the conversation. These actions, though simple, have a profound impact on creating a more respectful and supportive community. Moreover, silence in the face of gossip is a means of protecting our own peace. Engaging in such conversations often leads to feelings of guilt and regret, as well as the fear of being judged by others in the same way. By choosing not to participate, we free ourselves from this cycle of negativity and focus on nurturing a heart that is pure and sincere. Islam teaches us that what we say about others is a reflection of our own state of being. By refraining from gossip, we cultivate a spirit of generosity and empathy, seeing others in the best light and seeking to uplift rather than undermine them. Words have immense power, capable of building bridges or creating chasms between people. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized this power, advising his followers to speak good or remain silent. This wisdom reminds us that our words are not mere sounds, but tools that can heal, inspire, and connect, or hurt, wound, and destroy. In moments of frustration, anger, or impulsiveness, the urge to speak harshly can be strong. Yet Islam teaches us to pause and reflect before speaking, understanding that once words are spoken, they cannot be taken back. The damage caused by hurtful words can be profound and long-lasting. They can tarnish reputations, strain relationships, and leave emotional scars that may take years to heal. In moments of heightened emotion, it is easy to lash out without considering the impact of our words on others. However, the Prophet, peace be upon him, encouraged his followers to think before they speak, weighing whether their words would bring benefit or harm. This practice not only protects others, but also preserves our own dignity and character. Remaining silent when our words could hurt is not a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of strength and wisdom. It reflects our ability to control our impulses and prioritize compassion over conflict. By choosing silence, we create space for understanding and resolution, allowing emotions to settle and perspectives to align. This approach fosters healthier relationships and a more harmonious environment, both within families and in the broader community. The act of remaining silent also aligns with the Islamic concept of ihsan, or striving for excellence in all that we do. Ihsan encourages us to go beyond what is obligatory and to act in ways that reflect the highest standards of kindness, patience, and empathy. By choosing not to utter words that may harm, we embody this principle, seeking to please Allah through our actions and interactions. Silence during sacred moments in Islam is a profound expression of devotion and reverence. It is in these moments that believers draw closer to Allah, seeking His mercy, guidance, and blessings. Whether during the daily prayers, the recitation of the Quran, or visits to holy places, silence allows for a deep and uninterrupted connection with the divine. It is a time to leave behind the distractions of the world and immerse oneself in the tranquility of faith. During Salah, the silence between the recitation of verses and movements is filled with meaning. It is in these pauses that the heart speaks, expressing gratitude, seeking forgiveness, and yearning for closeness to Allah. The stillness of the body mirrors the stillness of the soul, creating a harmonious alignment that fosters spiritual growth. Similarly, during the recitation of the Quran, silence amplifies the impact of its words, allowing believers to reflect on their meaning and internalize their guidance. In these moments, silence is not merely the absence of sound, but a medium for deep contemplation and connection. Visits to sacred sites like the Kaaba in Mecca or the Prophet's Mosque in Medina are also marked by a profound sense of silence. These places, hallowed by centuries of prayer and devotion, inspire awe and reverence. Maintaining silence in such environments is a way of honoring their sanctity and fully embracing the spiritual energy that permeates them. It is in this quietude that believers feel the weight of their faith, the blessings of Allah, and the collective devotion of millions of worshippers. Silence during sacred moments is not an end in itself, but a means to an end. It creates the conditions necessary for introspection, gratitude, and spiritual renewal. It allows believers to disconnect from the noise of the world and reconnect with the essence of their faith. In these moments, silence becomes a sanctuary, a space where the soul finds peace and the heart is reminded of its ultimate purpose, to worship and obey Allah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, exemplified this practice, often seeking solitude and silence to reflect and commune with Allah. His life serves as a reminder of the value of quiet moments in nurturing one's spiritual journey. By embracing silence during sacred moments, we not only strengthen our connection with Allah, but also reaffirm our commitment to living a life of purpose, guided by faith and devotion. Listening is an act often taken for granted, yet it holds profound significance in Islam and in the cultivation of meaningful relationships. The ability to listen attentively with an open heart and mind is a reflection of respect, empathy, and understanding. In a world where speaking often takes precedence, Islam beautifully emphasizes the power and importance of listening as a pathway to fostering harmony, trust, and mutual respect. Listening is more than just hearing words. It is an active engagement with the speaker's emotions, thoughts, and concerns. In Islam, this act of attentiveness is not merely a social courtesy, but a moral and spiritual duty. When we listen to others, we validate their feelings, acknowledge their worth, and build a bridge of connection that aligns with the Islamic values of kindness and compassion. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, exemplified this practice, often listening intently to those who approached him, regardless of their status, background, or the nature of their concerns. His ability to give his full attention to people, even in the midst of his responsibilities, is a lesson for all believers. Active listening requires us to silence our own thoughts and focus entirely on the person speaking. It is a form of humility as we set aside our own opinions and judgments to truly understand the perspective of another. This is particularly important in moments of conflict or disagreement. Rather than interrupting or formulating responses while the other person is speaking, Islam encourages us to listen with patience and a genuine desire to understand. This practice not only helps resolve disputes, but also fosters mutual respect and appreciation. In families and friendships, listening is a cornerstone of healthy relationships. When we actively listen to our loved ones, we show them that we care about their feelings and experiences. It strengthens the bonds of love and trust, creating a safe space where individuals feel valued and supported. The absence of attentive listening, on the other hand, can lead to misunderstandings, frustration, and emotional distance. Islam teaches us to nurture our relationships with care and intention, and listening is one of the most effective ways to do so. In the broader community, listening plays a vital role in building unity and fostering a spirit of collaboration. By listening to the voices of those who are marginalized or in need, we demonstrate empathy and a commitment to justice. The Quran frequently reminds believers to be attentive to the needs and concerns of others, especially those who may lack the means to express themselves. Listening in this context becomes an act of service, reflecting our dedication to creating a society grounded in compassion and equity. One of the profound aspects of listening in Islam is that it extends beyond interpersonal interactions. It is also about listening to the signs of Allah in the world around us. The Quran invites us to reflect on the natural world, to listen to the messages conveyed through creation, and to heed the guidance of Allah's words. This form of listening requires a deep level of mindfulness and awareness as we tune into the lessons and wisdom embedded in the universe. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, exemplified the art of listening in his interactions with his companions and even his adversaries. He would listen carefully, allowing people to express themselves fully before responding with wisdom and kindness. This approach not only diffused tensions, but also made people feel respected and understood, even if they disagreed with him. His ability to listen attentively and respond thoughtfully is a model for how we can engage with others in a way that reflects the values of Islam. Listening is also a form of self-discipline, as it requires us to restrain our impulses to speak, interrupt, or dominate a conversation. In a world where everyone is eager to share their opinions, the ability to listen stands out as a mark of true wisdom and maturity. It reminds us that communication is not a one-way process, but a dynamic exchange where both speaking and listening play equally important roles. When we listen actively, we cultivate a deeper understanding of others, which in turn helps us approach situations with greater empathy and fairness. It allows us to see beyond our own perspectives and consider the experiences and feelings of others. This practice aligns with the Islamic principle of treating others as we would like to be treated, fostering a sense of connection and mutual respect that transcends differences. Listening also has profound spiritual benefits. It teaches us patience, humility, and self-awareness, qualities that are essential for personal growth and spiritual development. By listening to others, we learn to quiet our own ego and focus on the needs and concerns of those around us. This shift from self-centeredness to other-centeredness is a reflection of the Islamic ideal of putting the well-being of others before our own. In moments of silence, as we listen to the words of others, we also create space for reflection and understanding. This silence is not empty, but filled with the intention to connect, learn, and empathize. It is in these quiet moments that relationships are strengthened, conflicts are resolved, and understanding is deepened. Listening, in its truest form, is an act of love and respect that can transform the way we interact with others. The act of listening is not limited to human interactions. In our relationship with Allah, listening takes on an even deeper significance. When we recite the Quran, perform our prayers, or engage in dhikr, remembrance of Allah, we are not only speaking but also listening to the messages of guidance and mercy that Allah has bestowed upon us. This spiritual listening requires us to still our minds and open our hearts, allowing the words of Allah to resonate within us and guide our actions. In Islamic teachings, the ears are described as a blessing from Allah, a tool for acquiring knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. The Quran encourages believers to use their hearing wisely, to listen to what is good and beneficial, and to avoid harmful or frivolous speech. By practicing mindful listening, we honor this divine gift and use it in a way that pleases Allah. Listening is a skill that requires practice and intention. It is about more than just being quiet. It is about being fully present, attentive and engaged. It is about setting aside our own thoughts and agendas to truly hear and understand the other person. In doing so, we not only build stronger relationships, but also grow as individuals, cultivating the qualities of patience, humility, and empathy that are so central to the teachings of Islam. In every conversation, every interaction, and every moment of silence, there is an opportunity to practice the art of listening. It is a gift we give to others and to ourselves, a way of connecting, understanding, and growing that reflects the values of compassion, respect, and love that lie at the heart of Islam. Through listening, we learn to see the world through the eyes of others, to embrace their perspectives, and to create a more harmonious and understanding community. It is a practice that enriches our lives and brings us closer to the ideals of our faith. Silence in moments of reflection is a treasure in Islam, offering believers a unique opportunity to connect deeply with themselves and their Creator. In the busyness of life, filled with constant noise and distractions, finding moments of silence becomes an intentional act of worship and a pathway to spiritual growth. Reflection, or tafakkur, is not just a mental exercise. It is a form of devotion encouraged in the Quran and practiced by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, throughout his life. These moments of introspection allow us to evaluate our lives, align our intentions with our actions, and draw closer to Allah. When we reflect in silence, we create a sacred space for our hearts and minds to connect. It is in these quiet moments that we can ponder the verses of the Quran, the teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the vastness of Allah's creation. The Quran frequently invites us to reflect, asking us to observe the natural world, the stars in the sky, the intricacies of life, and the beauty of balance in creation. Silence enhances this reflection, enabling us to absorb these signs without the interference of external noise or internal chatter. In moments of reflection, silence becomes a vessel for self-awareness. It allows us to examine our actions, intentions, and the state of our hearts. We can ask ourselves whether we are living in alignment with our faith, whether our actions reflect sincerity, and where we can improve. This self-examination is an essential part of Islamic practice, helping us to identify our shortcomings, seek forgiveness, and make intentions for self-improvement. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, often engaged in such moments, retreating to quiet places like the cave of Hira to reflect, pray, and seek guidance. His example reminds us that silence and reflection are not acts of isolation, but means of strengthening our connection with Allah. Silence during reflection is also a time for gratitude, when we pause to consider the blessings in our lives, the health we enjoy, the relationships we cherish, the provision we receive, and the beauty of Allah's creation. We cultivate a sense of appreciation that deepens our relationship with Allah. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, nurturing a contented heart and reinforcing our trust in Allah's wisdom and mercy. This practice of silent gratitude is transformative, filling our hearts with peace and fostering a sense of humility and dependence on Allah. Moreover, reflection in silence is a powerful tool for navigating life's challenges. When faced with difficulties, silence allows us to process our emotions, seek clarity, and turn to Allah for guidance. It reminds us that we are not alone, that Allah is always near, and that His wisdom is present even in our trials. These moments of silent reflection strengthen our resilience, helping us to approach challenges with patience and trust in Allah's plan. The Quran reminds us of this, stating, "Indeed, with hardship comes ease." Surah Ash-Shah 94:6. Reflection helps us internalize such verses, providing solace and hope during trying times. The spiritual benefits of reflection are immense. It nurtures humility as we recognize our dependence on Allah and acknowledge our limitations. It fosters sincerity as we align our actions with our intentions. It strengthens our connection with Allah, reminding us of His presence in every aspect of our lives. In silence, we can hear the whispers of our soul, feel the guidance of Allah, and find peace in His remembrance. These moments are a sanctuary, a place where we recharge our faith, reaffirm our purpose, and rediscover the beauty of our relationship with Allah. In a world that often values constant activity and noise, making time for silent reflection is an act of courage and commitment. It is a declaration that our spiritual well-being is a priority and that our relationship with Allah deserves our undivided attention. Whether it is a few minutes at the end of the day, a quiet morning in nature, or a moment of stillness after prayer, these acts of silence can profoundly impact our faith and our lives. Silence, as guided by the wisdom of Islam, is not merely the absence of sound, but a profound tool for personal and spiritual growth. In anger, silence helps us cultivate self-control and patience, protecting our relationships and nurturing our character. In ignorance, silence fosters humility and integrity, allowing us to seek knowledge and speak only the truth. When tempted to gossip or harm others with our words, silence becomes a shield, preserving the dignity of ourselves and others. During sacred moments, silence amplifies our connection with Allah, creating a space for worship and reflection. In listening, silence demonstrates respect and empathy, strengthening our relationships and fostering mutual understanding. And in reflection, silence becomes a sanctuary, a place where we reconnect with our Creator and find peace within ourselves. The practice of silence, as woven through these various aspects of life, is a gift from Allah. It teaches us mindfulness, patience, and the value of intentional living. It reminds us of the power of restraint, the beauty of humility, and the depth of wisdom found in quiet moments. As we embrace the teachings of silence in our daily lives, we not only grow as individuals, but also contribute to a more compassionate, respectful, and harmonious community. In a world that often prioritizes noise, activity, and constant communication, the wisdom of silence shines as a timeless guide. It invites us to pause, to reflect, and to align our lives with the teachings of Islam. By practicing silence in the ways outlined in this journey, we open our hearts to the beauty and strength that lie within the quiet moments of life. May these lessons inspire us to approach each situation with mindfulness, humility, and a deep sense of purpose. May silence serve as a tool for drawing closer to Allah, strengthening our faith, and fostering personal growth. And may we continue to find solace, wisdom, and spiritual connection in the profound power of silence, of